President Larson.
Here.
Colleen O'Brien Berglund.
Here.
Jim Thomas.
Here.
Sandra Whalen.
Here.
Mark Zappa.
Here.
Okay, the minutes from the regular meeting of March 4th. Chair would entertain a motion to approve them.
I would move that we approve the regular board minutes dated Tuesday, March 4th, 2008.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any changes or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Are there any comments from the floor regarding topics which are not on the agenda? Okay. Moving on, I'm going to just change the sequence. We're going to move down to the Plan Commission and deal with the Plan Commission topics first. So, Paul, I think you are here. The first item is the conditional use permit application request from D. Kruger, doing business as Line X of Hudson.
Yeah, it's my first time doing this. What would you like to know? We passed it for you guys to decide with 3 conditions, as you guys see in your sheet in front of you. Mm-hmm. Dumpster pickup after 8 a.m. Business hours, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, as stated on the application. And then the operation shall comply with all federal state regulations.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Paul?
What is Line X?
It's going to basically be a truck accessory place, and they're also going to line bed liners, stuff like that, spray on.
Okay.
Not that it matters. Did he acquire the property from Tom then? So this is going to be his...
Tom was at the meeting. I don't know what that arrangement is.
Okay, wonderful. And it seems like it probably won't have any different impact than the previous business of a body shop. I would think less, if anything.
Yeah, someone's out, new in person, that's all it is.
All right. Any other questions for Paul? If not, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the Plan Commission's recommendation to approve the conditional use permit.
It's not a big deal.
Also move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
Yes. Yes.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Moving on, we have another conditional use permit application for J. Marshall, doing business as Marshall Mechanics. Another conditional use permit request, which is being recommended by the Plan Commission. Any additional background information on this, Paul?
Same as you see in front of you. All operations shall comply with the federal and state regulations. Hours of operation are as listed, Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 6 p.m. Saturdays 9 to 2, and then Sundays it's closed. It's going to work with the adjacent building owner to share the dumpster. I don't know if that's something you guys have worked out yet, have you? Or? Not yet. And that's just to keep the place a little bit less cluttered.
Okay.
Property is to be kept clean with no outside storage of scrap metal parts, et cetera, et cetera. And, yeah, the easement needs to be cleared at all times. That's right next to it. That's it. It's just same type of business. Another mechanic shop that moved out. Another one's moving in. So everything is set up for them, and they're ready to roll.
Is that in the same building? Or
No, it's the building right next to it.
Just to the north, that small
Correct, sir.
block building?
Yep.
Okay. It has the same address?
No, one is 601 6th Street North. The other address is 605 6th Street North.
Mine says 601 here. Maybe I'm looking at the... Oh, sorry. Is it in? Is it? Okay, I'm with you now.
Okay, very good.
Thanks. I got it.
All right. With no other questions, Chair would entertain a motion to approve the Plan Commission's recommendation to approve the conditional use permit for Jacob Marshall, Brian Ellis, and Kyle McCarty, doing business as Marshall's Mechanics at 605 6th Street North.
I'll move to, so,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is that open for discussion at this point?
Yes.
I see on here that it says everything will comply with state and federal regulations and storage of scrap metals, parts, chemicals, including fluids. I'm assuming it's just automotive or truck repair? Okay, that's cool. That's awesome. As far as like used tires go, which are typically a part of that, is that something that you've made accommodations for? Like
Tire repair.
No
Tire
tire.
repair with no service.
no sales of tires, so you wouldn't have waste tires around?
If so, it's actually a residence behind it. There's a little shed. I was
Right.
gonna store all scrap metal and fluids in there. There's plenty of room for tires if need be.
Cool, that's cool. Yeah, our concern is just so that, as I'm sure as everybody's here, that it stays up. We wanted to wish you the best of luck, and cleanliness is something that we look forward to in all businesses that come here. That's the only question I had in reading through this.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
Yes? Yes.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Mr. Larson.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, moving back up to item number 4 on the agenda, the amended Class B liquor license for the extended premises, Malibu Inn. We have our annual request from Malibu Inn. And they want to do the motorcycle run, if I recall correctly, is it April 12th, right? Should be doing that in the snow this year. All right, and we have a letter from the police chief recommending it, along with the various terms and conditions that normally apply, plus some additional ones. So the So the Malibu Inn is requesting what is referred to as an extended premises amendment to our Class B license. The chair will so move that, consistent with the request and the letter submitted by the chief of police. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Questions or comments?
As far as staffing goes, everything is the same as it's been over several years.
Any difference,
We've had a
Mark?
problem.
Same as last fall.
Yeah, sounds good. Seems like it's been, knock on wood, going off without a hitch.
Item number 4 on that, on the chief's description identifies that 4 North Hudson police officers and 3 St. Croix County deputies will be on duty during those hours. I think it's well covered.
Yep.
And I think they are a deterrent, a force of deterrence for any shenanigans.
I agree.
Okay. Any other questions regarding that? All right. Motion has been made and seconded, so all in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we have a license application request for an ice cream vendor. as I was reading through this, I noticed that there were some recommendations from the chief, basically in support of it, but also requesting some amount of clarification. So the chair would move to approve the license application for Mike Thole doing business as Street Treats, and move the approval of the license with the following conditions. That it would be for the period of 6/1 through 10/1/08. That operations would be limited to daylight hours, and that the vendor would be required to carry the permit on the vehicle at all times. And lastly, that the vendor will comply with all village ordinances, in particular 18.147 paragraph C. And just for clarification, section 18-147 paragraph C, or B and C, I'm sorry, 18-147 B and C, which indicates they may not go on private property unless they're invited, and if they're on private property and if they are so requested, they will vacate that property. And the reason for the inclusion of the during daylight hours would certainly seem to provide them with appropriate time, but without giving them an unlimited amount of time. And as the year progresses, and obviously there'll be a little bit less daylight, but for the most part that gives them till basically from sun up till 9:30 at night. So it should be adequate. So is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that. I have an additional question on this. I actually had in my notes frequency, and I also had hours of operation between the hours of boom and boom. Now, you said daylight hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that starts us out at ringing a little bell at 7 in the morning and going until, like you said, 9:30 at night.
And if you'd want to do a friendly change to the motion, I have no
No,
trouble.
the other part that I had, or the question was frequency. Is that how many times a week? And what kind of a vehicle is this that... Oh, you're here.
I'm here.
Okay.
I can answer any questions.
Sorry you didn't look like an ice cream vendor. I was
I'm a teacher by trade, but
okay. Could you describe it a little bit better to us?
Do you want him at the microphone, George?
That would
If
be...
you would, please.
Basically, we've operated in Stillwater and Richmond and Osceola, Somerset for the last couple of years. And we just, I think to cover North Hudson on our typical route, the way we do it, would probably take just maybe 3 hours, maybe 4, because it's not a very large community. And it will only be once a week. We only come into communities once a week. That way we don't overburden the parents and overtax them. But the kids look forward to it then once a week. So try to keep it simple.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm assuming this is a predetermined day, and it's the same day every week all
Right.
summer long?
Yep, we don't know yet exactly. We're still trying to work out which day it would be. It would be during the week.
And are you
No.
doing this in Hudson then also?
We don't operate in Hudson at this point. We're just a one-truck operation, just a family-owned, just my wife and I. Hudson, I think, has some regulations regarding amplified music. So that's kind of some hoops we'd have to jump through if we wanted to add Hudson. And, of course, that would be like 2 days' worth of work there. So in our schedule, it doesn't really fit in.
And, okay, sounds good. I was raised with ice cream trucks as a kid growing up. I think they're the most wonderful thing in the world. So
Oh, good. Thank you.
That's great. But amplified music, I'm sure that George's concern is that he won't get rolled out of bed in the morning.
No.
Okay.
No, I would.
Wait a minute, Jim.
Cool.
Well, the motion that's made and seconded would give them the prerogative of operating 7 days a week from basically during daylight hours. Do you need that level of flexibility?
No, we don't have the time to do that. So it just be one day a week, more than likely. I mean, if sometimes if you have a real rainy week or something, we might try to squeeze in a different. We could maybe squeeze in a different day if that was an option. But if you wrote the permit as, just for this day or that day, once we tell you what day it would be, we'd work with that. Whatever you decide. It's fine.
Why don't we just leave
So-
it the way it is?
Okay.
We've really decided that my wife and I to not really overdo it with folks, because it can go the other way too. It's fun, but you come too often and people get irritated. So
What kind of a vehicle is it?
it's a step van, 1979 GMC step van, which looks like an ice cream truck. I don't know if anybody's seen it around before, but I've got a couple of pictures if you wanted to see them.
No, it's fine. All right. Any other questions? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All opposed, same sign. Carried. That's all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
The DOT application denial for State Highway 35 access for the grocery store. Bill, do you want to just kind of summarize what the status of that was?
Well, basically, DOT had already made its mind up. The application was submitted. The answer came back from DOT, and DOT said in the answer that we already told you before you even submitted the application we're going to deny this. My only comment on that is that DOT has rulemaking authority, and if they're going to have a strict rule, they should utilize their rulemaking authority and just say out and out, we're not going to approve any of this, but that's not what they're doing. They're leading you on to think that there's a process. You get into the process, they're saying, no, we told you we're not doing this. So and for the village to pursue it any further, what would probably happen is that the DOT would probably get their act together and get a rule in place. So it's a catch-22. I mean, they say there's a process, you apply, and then they come back and tell you there really isn't a process. This is the way it is.
And what that has to do with is opening up that property to
Another access on Highway 35. The one thing they did comment was that on the right-of-way and the setbacks, they would look at something on that.
Okay. Setbacks are not an item of discussion tonight, I don't think, is it?
No. That wasn't the response.
Yep. Okay. Well, there is no action for us to take, is there?
That's what we wanted to appeal.
Yeah, your option would be to appeal, but I don't think you'd have a very good chance, considering that when you file an application in a state agency, gives you a response saying, we already told you this before you filed the application.
Who would you appeal to? I mean,
it's to an administrative law judge, basically, under Chapter 227.
And the likelihood of prevailing with him, I mean, even if one felt very strongly about the issue, isn't very likely.
I don't think it is. I reviewed, there's a series of decisions already out there. I referenced a couple of them in the request, and they just,
So much for that.
yeah.
Could I make just one question? Is if, there's a considerable right-of-way to the west of the highway there.
Right.
My question would be is if a third lane or a turning lane was proposed along that area, do you think that would enable us to get access to the highway?
You mean, no. No. They won't.
Because they'd still enforce their policy.
Right.
Has nothing to do with how many lanes are there.
No.
Okay. Bill, in your I'm sure that you did some research when you wrote this letter. Were there any cases that had been appealed and where people had been
Yes, and there's
successful?
no. There were cases, and there were various arguments put forth, including one I thought, pretty persuasive argument on the safety issue. And their position is that their view of safety overrides the individual landowner's view of the safety issue. And their view of safety is they want to limit access on state highways.
Okay. All right. Well, unless someone is proposing some action, let's close the item and just move on. Okay. All right. Then we'll move on to the agenda. Review and adoption of Resolution 2008-02, approving all hazards mitigation plan, which is from the county. The county is asking the village, as well as all municipalities within the county, to adopt a similar resolution, if not an identical one, which essentially says that we adopt the county's all hazard mitigation plan, and the reason they're looking for municipal concurrence is that then makes both the county as well as the municipalities eligible for FEMA funds in the event that some type of natural disaster should occur. In your books, you'll see a copy of the resolution. Where is that? Way in the back.
It should be in the front.
There we go. I got it. It was later than that.
That's it.
It's on the back of the
Well, that's
itself.
That's what he's looking.
That's what I'm looking for. Is the resolution.
It's on that. And on the back is the motion.
I know it's really weird. Well, my brother got.
No, it's the summary.
Larry.
Got it. I got it. Okay. Well, then, for purposes of discussion, the chair would make the motion that the village adopt resolution 2008-02, a resolution approving an all hazards mitigation plan for the village of North Hudson, consistent with the attached document. Is there a second to that?
I would second that. In reviewing this plan, I think it's wonderful. The only concern I had is there are elements of this which require us to do things that could come at a cost that we're not currently subjected to.
But if we do not approve this resolution as stated, we will not be in line for any of the FEMA funding.
Gonna catch my. I
Catch
guess that's
22.
a yes. Exactly.
Exactly.
When Gloria informed us that this item had been added to the agenda at the last minute, normally I don't like to add items of significance to the agenda. But this one, if you read, when you get down to the very last paragraph, it contains the language which I felt was relevant. It says, now therefore be it resolved that the village board adopts the St. Croix County All Hazards Mitigation Plan, a copy of which we do not have, as the official all hazards mitigation plan for the village of North Hudson, with the intent of implementing the plan recommendations as funding and resources allow.
Could we refer this to the chief? He's the one handling that, and I believe he has a. I didn't think you wanted a 100-page document.
We don't.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Laura and I talked about it. This is actually already double-sided, so we couldn't even cut down on the amount of paper. Basically, and I do have a copy of the plan itself. Basically, what it deals with, and Jim, I think your concern was whether or not this is going to mandate that we do certain things, and it is not. It's basically a plan that was put together by the county. A gentleman from strategic planning, Chris Strait, from West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, got a grant to put together a mitigation plan for the county. Basically, he met with all of the municipalities, which included North Hudson, myself, Mark Ekblad, Jack Kolvar, the Emergency Management Director for the county, and as I take off my chief's hat and put on my North Hudson Emergency Management Director hat, we sat down and talked about those areas that we felt were an issue for all hazards, but for the most part, North Hudson falls into the flood category. As they show a map, there's flooding on Lake Malibu in certain areas, several spots along Galahad Road, this low spot on 6th Street in the 600 block, and there was one other spot, up near Lund Street North, the south end of that Lund Street North, there's a lot of flooding. So if the village decides it wants to go forward and try to make some sort of changes to the infrastructure of those locations, to build walls, dams, whatever it may be, this plan, because we've designated those specific areas, this plan will allow us to go to FEMA and ask for funding, and if we meet their requirements, then we can be funded for those. If we do not have this plan in place, the likelihood of us getting FEMA money for a mitigation or a pre-disaster type activity would be slim to none. So that's why this plan is in place, and they're asking for it to be done by April 15th, which is why there was some timely basis on it, because they're going to then submit it to FEMA and have their final approval. So.
Any other questions for Mark? See, it's a resolution, so that requires a roll call vote. We'll start down on this end of the table. If you're in favor, just indicate by saying yes. Mark?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
George?
Yep.
Jim?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Larry, yes. Okay. All right, Plan Commission is done. Finance Committee. Finance Committee met earlier. Reviewed the claims for some which go back to December. And Finance Committee recommended approval of the December 2007 non-recurring claims totaling $4,525.97. They also recommended approval of the March 2008 non-recurring claims totaling $16,608 and 08. And so I will make that motion to approve and pay our bills. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Questions or comments regarding any of the bills? Okay. All right. Do a roll call vote. Start on this end. Jim?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Colleen? Sandra?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Okay. Larry, yes. All right. The committee also reviewed the request to purchase certain items out of the general fund, specifically windows treatment for this particular room, one for the sliding glass door outside the village administrator's office, and some minor remodeling in the old bathroom. So we'll treat those as three separate recommendations. Finance Committee is recommending approval of all of them. So as a chair, I would move to authorize the administrator to contract with Diane Hallberg and Aero Drapery and Blind to purchase 10 screen shades for an amount not to exceed $1,100. So that is the motion.
I'll second that. Larry, that's Diane Holbeck.
Okay. What did I say? Did I? Okay, sorry about that. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Since it's a financial issue, we'll do a roll call. Start again on this end. Jim?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Sandra? Mark?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, moving on to the next one, I would move to authorize the administrator to contract with budget blinds for the vertical blinds for the sliding glass door for an amount not to exceed $200.
Second.
Questions? If not, we'll do a roll call vote. Start on this end. Mark?
Yes.
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And the last one, move to authorize the administrator to proceed with contracts with Evenson Plumbing and Tim Anderson, and authorize Mark Ekblad to purchase linoleum from Menards, with the total expenditure for these aspects of the projects to be not more than $1,900. Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions?
If anybody's interested, this is what we, if you pass this motion, this is the linoleum that'll be laid in the old men's room. I'm reluctant to refer to as the old men's room because that would mean only people like myself would be able to use it. But it perhaps the room formerly known as the men's room. In the description of the background there, if you have any questions about it, I'll be glad to answer it.
I already saw it in the finance meeting. That's nice.
Any other questions for George regarding that? Okay. If not, we'll do a roll call vote again. We'll start down on this end. Mark?
Yes.
Okay. Sandra? George?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Larry? Yes.
In each of these, it says the administrator will contract. Gloria, just for your information, I will save you some of the legwork, and I will call all four of these vendors tomorrow morning so that we can get the shades, hopefully, by the time we have our open house.
Okay. Public Works?
Okay, a couple of items on here. Let's see. We had listed in our meeting minutes, we discussed the traffic impact analysis on Highway 35 and Station Lane. And we're not through with that analysis yet. We're still trying to get some information from the state for some long-term forecasts for peak volumes. And so we're not prepared to talk about that in any detailed degree. And so I just wanted to mention that's an ongoing process within the Public Works Committee that we're looking at that. The first item that we need approval for is the street sweeping contract. And you'll see in your notes or in your packet, and I'll just summarize it if I can. Last year we'd been using Mike McPhillips, Inc. to do the street sweeping, and last year's contract was for, I believe it was $87 per hour. And as you know, since we went to an all-salt type of process for keeping the ice off the streets instead of a salt sand mix, our street sweeping has gone down considerably. We just don't collect that amount, and it doesn't take that long to get through. So we have some savings, and that's included in our budget for last year as well as this year, and that's still ongoing. Last year we had a rate of $87 per hour, and this year the bid from Mike McPhillips is $86 an hour, so it went down $1 an hour. And so what I'm proposing that we do is we adopt the street sweeping contract for 2008 and through 2009 with the wording that we had for last year's street sweeping contract for $86 per hour from Mike McPhillips, Inc. And just to read that contract, it basically will say Contractor will supply sweeper and labor at a total rate of $86 per hour using an Elgin Pelican sweeper unit. The Village of North Hudson truck will be used for hauling the collected street sweepings to the landfill. Contract will be under the direct supervision of the Public Works Supervisor. Supervisor will explain the village sweeping policy to the contractor. Contractor will supply the village with necessary certificate of insurance liability and workman's compensation before work begins. And the work will start as directed by the Public Works Supervisor, and the contract will begin on April 1, 2008 and expire on March 31st, 2009.
As I read I didn't see anything in the contract that implied that there was a minimum.
There isn't. To my knowledge, there is not.
Okay, good. Okay.
Do we leave it to the Public Works Department to decide when to ask Mr. McPhillips to come in?
Yeah, we decide that.
In the past, there has been some street sweeping immediately prior to the motorcycle run on April 12th. Is that necessary this year because there's no sand?
It should have been the same as last year. I mean, last year we didn't have any sand either. I don't know.
Right.
I doubt whether.
I raise it only because if somebody raises that question, will it be safe for the bikers? Is only a couple of weeks away.
Yeah, I think in years past we didn't get the sand removal, the sander out. The street sweeper out there in time for that, and I think we did get some complaints from those people who ride motorcycles in the village. But my guess is it should have gone away with the less sand on the streets. I mean, I don't know where you get it from anymore.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, then is there a second to Joe's motion to approve the contract?
Second.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. If not, then we'll do another roll call vote to approve the contract. We'll start on this end. Mark?
Yes.
Sandra?
Yes.
George?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Joe?
Did I say yes?
Yes.
I hope I did.
Yeah.
The last item that we have is the land improvements on the old maintenance building lot. I don't have a recommendation to bring forward to the board at this time. We've been discussing that for at least a couple of months. And as you know, it's the old lot that's directly across the street to the west of our property here. One of the things that we were considering was dividing up that lot into some parking places and an area for green space, and perhaps using it as the park, something like that. We, as part of your packet, you should, I hope you see it in there. There was a list that was generated by Kevin, Cedar Corporation, a cost estimate to make that kind of a change to that area over there, make it a parking lot and put not necessarily sod but seed it, and redo the fence. And we're finding out the fence is relatively expensive, and the total estimated cost now is right around $21,000. We looked at that and we thought, that's a lot of money. Are there some other alternatives? And essentially, what we want to consider, I think, is maybe what we want to do to the property just to the south of the building. One of the things that we're considering is if we do make that a parking place across there, and do put park equipment across there, then it becomes a park. And it will always be a park because once you do that, it's hard to bring it back and make anything else out of it with the parkland that we have in the village. And so what our thinking, one of the other options that we have is perhaps to grade that over and make sure we don't have any erosion there, and fill in the low spots and get some black dirt and put grass in there fairly soon this spring. But if we want parking, perhaps something that the village board could consider is removal of the warming house here just to the south of us and putting in at least 6 or 8 stalls like we have out here for the police force on the east side of the street. It would be less asphalt, a little bit more concrete work, but we'd get rid of an eyesore, and then the park board could decide on where they would want to put their playground equipment if they wanted to put it over in that area. But
that land's not designated parkland.
it is not?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
Never has been. So what you're saying is you're going to make a motion to table this issue?
Yeah, we're going to look at it again, and we'll come back with a proposal next time.
Is there a second to the motion to table?
Second. Jim, our good neighbor, is here in the audience, and we had talked with him as recent as about 2 hours and a half ago, right, Jim? 2 hours ago we were talking to him. And I hope you guys are taking into consideration what his needs are to protect his property over there. You still getting a lot of sand and stuff washed down, Jim?
During the construction of this building, there was a lot more traffic over there and a lot more dirt flying around. And so my guess is there was a lot more last year than there is this year. But, you know, I'd like to think that there's a commitment by the Public Works as well as the board to do something with that property early spring so that we get it dressed off so we don't have any more erosion and perhaps get some grass growing. I mean, the time to plant grass is the spring. And so we'd like to do that, but I don't think that we have the best proposal. Certainly $21,000 is not something that I'm prepared to bring to the board.
Okay.
A question I have, the warming house, is the village's thoughts on that the ice rink will no longer continue to exist? Or
I think you could still have the ice rink. It just would mean there'd be no warming house.
All right, just wondering. I know we put a phone in it, or we allocated for a phone in it when we did the village. So, my God, there's $30. I'm not going to waste it. No, my thoughts, in all honesty, is that I have talked to some of the residents, and everybody does sort of like the skating rink, or not everybody, but a lot of people. It's
I could see, we could still keep the
point.
Skating rink, but I'm not sure that it's worthwhile heating that building all winter for the few times that it gets used.
Does it not get? I'm not that familiar with it. Has it really been not utilized or underutilized in the past?
I'd have to admit I don't know the utilization of it.
As if there's a chance of keeping it just off the record, just friendly talk. I'd like to see it because I would go up there once in a while, hang out with kids, and skate a little bit. And
do you need a warming house to do that?
Yeah, you do.
You do, huh?
Yeah, especially when you're my age, Joe. No, you really do. It's a good thing to have. It really is. But, I think it's a minimal amount of heat costs, but it is really a nice village
Perhaps the
center.
key there would be to only heat it when you're actually going to use it instead of what's been the practice, keep that thing heated all year, all winter long.
I don't know.
It's
Well,
not necessary.
we'll talk about this and talk about what it would cost to keep it in operation and maybe get some data and come to a better conclusion.
Well, I like the idea of dealing with both lots simultaneously.
Right.
Dealing with a more comprehensive approach. So there is a motion to table item 10C until a future meeting. So all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
That concludes it for me.
Mark is opposed, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Moving on to the Public Safety Committee.
Could I ask one more question?
Yeah.
We had park equipment just south of this, well, where the new building is, we had park equipment there. So was that a park?
I don't know that land has been designated as such.
Okay.
I think it's
Could you
just
have
there.
park equipment in a place that is not a park?
I mean, that's kind of the point I was trying to make before. The village owns certain land. Some of it is
Designated.
large enough to where it could be used as a park. Other chunks, which we, if you look at the plan, would say that's a park, and it's 20 feet wide. It's really an easement between a road and the lake. Is that a park? The answer is no one ever designated it as a park. And it doesn't make sense. You're not going to develop a 20-foot wide chunk of land. It's really just a walking easement.
Okay.
And it originally was the lift station location.
Yeah. I guess my question would be that nothing would prevent us from putting park equipment on that lot over there and still not designated it as a
It's
park?
just all village land.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Moving on to public safety.
Okay, you have in front of you in your binder, and added was the chief's report. You'll also see the minutes from the meeting that we had on March 13th. At the last board meeting, there was a invitation, as it were, for a meeting on mass notification on March 14th, and there were three of us who attended that. The chief was there, I was there, and so was Jim Thomas. And I would ask Jim if you would like to just brief mention of what it was all about, and then we can discuss it if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, George. The mass notification system that was suggested by St. Croix County was a very comprehensive system. It had an unlimited amount of tracking capabilities that were absolutely breathtaking. There is an issue that initially they rolled this out and they were contemplating a $20,000 initial hardware investment. That initial investment immediately rose to $60,000. That $60,000 does not include the administrative time necessary to set it up, nor does it include ongoing administrative time to maintain and deal with the changes. It's great. It would be wonderful. It utilizes some state-of-the-art features that any community would be proud of. At this point, I don't think it is something that I would be in favor of. We will see where this unfolds as they get a little closer on their budgeting numbers. But at this point, the system that we have, in comparison, I'd say we currently have a Chevy Malibu, which has cost the village virtually zero, and this is a Cadillac CTS that would be $60,000, and they're both brand new. So I think our current system is doing us just fine. Mark was there, and he did bring up some wonderful points that as far as notification for 911 issues, this is absolutely fantastic. When I left the meeting, I did go home. I went online, and I found out, contrary to what they said, they don't have a monopolization on that data. That data is there for any municipality, and we can have access to that same data and incorporate it into our system, which will take a minimal amount of administrative time, but is very feasibly doable.
Okay.
That's pretty much what I've got on.
Mark, did you have anything to add to that? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the three of you for attending that.
And I
good
think the
information.
three of us agree with, are in agreement that this is way more than we need to come to you and ask to expend for that. If you don't have any other questions regarding the chief's report or public safety minutes, I will move on to the next item, which is Village Hall addition remodel plan update. Gloria and I met this morning with a representative of Derrick Construction, and they provided us with the owner's manual for the new building. It is this book. This book represents a compendium, as it were, of all of the Derrick aspects of the project. And it is a very comprehensive document, which includes, this is state-of-the-art, because there's even a CD, which is this entire book. And in here, it's broken down into multiple sections so that if ever we need to know who the plumber was, we can go back and it's in here. You need to know who the electrician was, it's in here. The concrete guy, it's in here. Everything, including all the plans and the contract that we had with Derrick Construction. Jennifer was the representative from Derrick, and she gave me 2 copies of the pictures that Derrick took during this project. And I am going to present one copy of this to Sandra, who is going to use some of that on our website. So in the future, you'll be able to see some of those. I'm keeping one copy of this temporarily, and it will become a part of this book. But what I would like to do is I will load this on a laptop. I will use the projector up here, and when we have our open house, I'll put it on a continuous loop, and you'll be able to see all 93 pictures that Derrick Construction took during the process. It's quite fascinating. I did look at it earlier today. And that leads me into our open house. And so I would like to invite everyone to attend the open house, which we've scheduled for April 24th. It will be from the hours of 3 to 8, and I hope you will find it entertaining, enlightening, and educational as far as this facility is concerned.
Is that a Saturday?
That is Thursday.
Thursday.
We wanted to have it, the hours that we selected tie in nicely with after school, so parents picking up the children could stop by the Village Hall and take a look, have a little tour. We'll have some refreshments set up as well. The other thing that I was asked to do at the meeting this morning was to sign a document. I got a little nervous about that, but I did it anyway. It was a document stating that we are substantially finished with the building. Now, before anybody gets nervous about that, if you look around, you say, wait a minute, you're not finished. You need this door over here needs to be fixed, or this gutter needs to be fixed, things like that. That's all part of the warranty. But the fact is that this building became occupied within a couple days of the scheduled opening for its use. Mm-hmm. And so after talking with Jennifer, I was very comfortable signing this document. And so that's good. Now, I'm going to add another document that's almost as, I guess it will be about as thick as this, because this is the Derrick aspect. And I will have this book, or one just like it. I want to put some other things in here that will contain all the building management committee meetings that we had since day one, as well as the contract with the architect and contracts that we had outside of Derrick. So this will become a document that 50 years from now, when they decide to have the 50th anniversary party and we're all gone, or at least you and me, we'll have a record of exactly what happened. During the at the open house, we'll also have some documents that you might find interesting from the open house for this building when it opened back almost 50 years ago. So that should be kind of fascinating. The last thing that I want to do is just comment. We have a representative here from the Hudson Star Observer, and it was to commend. I did this informally with Randy. I stopped in the office, and I'll say it publicly, how much not only the Building Management Committee but the staff and the other members of the board appreciated the very fine comments that were made by the editorial about the work that went into this project. It's appreciated by all. Even though my name was mentioned a couple times, I could not have done this alone. It was not without the help of a very energetic and dedicated building management committee. And I also want to thank Mark Zappa for having the faith in this committee to pull this off. That was, I believe, his dream, that he says, I want somebody else to be doing this. And so he's the one who put this committee together to come up with this facility. I want to thank him for that. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Job well done, too, to everybody on the building committee. Moving on to public welfare. We're going to be here all night, Jim?
I'm going to do the abbreviated version because I'm not feeling quite 100%. So it is a little involved. This has been a meeting that's long overdue. We have scheduled our curbside leaf pickup for May 5th, 6th, and 7th, but that requires that all leaves and yard waste is to be out the morning of May 5th. It allows Waste Management 3 days to pick it up. So that is a given. As stated in the bulk items pickup, there's a little bit of a correction here. And or I shouldn't say we, I participated in a St. Croix County recycling waste meeting a couple of weeks ago and found that we do have a few options going forward that we may want to utilize as far as refrigerators, appliances, things. We can use, we have to formalize this, but we have the potential ability to utilize the Boardman facility or the Roberts facility so that if our bulk item pickup doesn't work into somebody's schedule, we've got flexibility. Contrary to what is said in here, we had some pricing concerns, but we are going to make a recommendation that we will have a bulk item pickup. Gloria, do you have that date again? Was it April 26th? April 26th from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. I've already talked to Mark Zappa. He said it was okay to use the same area behind the North Hudson Car Wash. Waste management will be there. They will have it staffed so that items such as chairs, sofas, mattresses will be picked up for free. Items that will not be picked up for free, I'm assuming we'll post in the Village Hall boards, and there will be a price list for those. I believe all of the board members have those price schedules there. There are options for this, though, and just to bring up, there is also a tire collection June 7th on Cratley Lane. There is also a appliance collection on Cratley Lane on June 7th also. I will confer with Gloria. If it's beneficial, we'll put together a public notification allowing our residents to be aware of the fact that these will be upcoming dates, and we'll also post it, I'm sure, in the paper and on the board.
Jim, whereabouts on Cratley Lane? Do the residents know that I'm going to be dropping stuff in their front yard?
It only hurts when I laugh. It's a good question. I'm assuming that this is up at the old dump site up by the Rod and Gun Club.
City of Hudson site.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and just for clarification, when I was at the St. Croix County meeting, I wasn't aware of it, but for a very minimal amount, we can use Roberts any time of the week and on Saturdays. And also we are, in talking to Warren Bader, we need to formally do this and get a written contract, so it's okay. But hopefully going forward, we'll be able to use the Boardman facility for anything that needs to be dumped off.
I mean, as residents?
As residents of
And what could I use it for?
Refrigerators, air conditioners, washers, dryers, dishwashers, anything that's the
bulky item.
Bulk item, not box springs and mattresses. Whereas that is the one part of our spring cleanup that we do take chairs, sofas, and mattresses, which they are getting harder to get rid of.
Jim, what about the motor oil and other similar chemicals? Is there a way that we can get rid of them?
St. Croix County does have hazardous waste dates, and I think the best thing to do is post them in the Village Hall.
Okay, but that's not part of this?
That's not part of this. No, not at all. So with that, we will look into a little more flexibility with Roberts and Boardman going forward.
That's good.
The second item on the agenda is single stream recycling, actually third in this. And to save a lot of time, this is going nowhere in a hurry. It's very annoying. We're so close to having this resolved. When I first started on the board, I've spent countless hours trying to get this thing together. It would be such a wonderful benefit for all of the residents. It would reduce fuel costs. It's nothing but good, but it's been nothing but hurdles. And Gloria and I will work forward on this. And believe me, we're doing everything we can. I'm just going to simply leave it at that, as I'm very disappointed.
Do you think we're ever going to get back to the essentials of the agreement that we had?
Which are?
Regarding the single stream recycling program?
No. new administration has come into waste management, and they are very rigid. And it breaks my heart that we were that close. And but I do agree with the board's decision of tabling it that night, because I'm not comfortable with a wishy-washy agreement, and we would have ended up in trouble had we moved forward on it then. So, no, it's challenging. So with that, we move on to the Humane Society contract. Just a general overview, what the Public Welfare Board is trying to do is find a uniform way to deal with village resident complaints, with whether it be animals or what have you. And I'll start out with the animal control aspect of it. But Mark and I have talked about this, as have Gloria and I, and we are trying to get together a plan that would give Kathy Pellner, our animal control warden, the ability to give citations. There's so many obstacles that come into this because of the fact that typically she gets called out when somebody complains, and the opportunity arises for unfounded complaints to be brought forward. And we need to come up with a way to structure it so that everybody up here gets along. We spent quite a bit of time on this in our public welfare meeting, and basically we need to give Kathy some authority, but we also need to be able to track who it is that's complaining, exactly what they're complaining about, is this a habitual problem, and the list goes on and on and on. She has requested a fee increase. I've talked with her, and we can pretty much ride out her contract until it's due to be rewritten the end of the year. At that point, it needs to be dramatically rewritten to encompass her responsibilities, so it's going to work better for the residents in the community. Unfortunately, sometimes animal complaints are only a small part of what's really being brought up, and she faces the burden of dealing with underlying issues there. So at this point, we don't have anything to recommend other than the fact we are going to continue to move forward on this, and by the end of her term, we will have something well etched out, and we will be good to go.
Good. Well, it has been an ongoing issue for quite a while.
Yeah, several years.
Yeah, and I'm just glad to see the committee is wrestling with all of these.
Well, as spring comes and people's windows open up, that's when the telephones start ringing, and Mark's department, everybody hears about it, and it's our goal to let everybody in the village know that we want everybody happy, and we'll do what we can to get some uniformity to it. Which gets us to our public complaint policy. And basically, we need to be able to get the uniformity in this so that if a person complains, that it is backed up, and we've already been working with North Hudson PD as far as tracking complaints and moving forward. I'm going to just very simply say at this point it's way too early to even get into the detail of what we talked about. So again, this works in harmony with the animal warden, with the whole thing. We're working on it. It's going to take months. It's a slow task, but hopefully it'll work out better than single stream recycling has. And with that, I don't think I have anything more other than as Chair of Public Welfare, if anybody in Public Works, Public Safety, I know we had talked about some sewer repairs, things like that. If we need to have notifications for residents, please let me know in due time so that we can orchestrate what we want to put on a voice message. If we have to close 35 or close a road or anything like that, make sure that we're aware. And
for item B on the spring curbside pickup, we're going to use the
Be a great place to sell some advertising.
telephone system, just to remind people that it's coming up?
Yes, we will,
Okay.
in conjunction with the notification in the paper. And we will also do it for the bulk household items.
Good.
And that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Super. Park Board.
What we discussed is pretty much in our minutes as well. And as far as after all the discussion of how to figure out the wording for the park dedication fee, since the state had changed it, it looks like they changed it back, that we can charge fees in lieu of parkland dedication has been reinstated. So we'll change that again in our plan that we had just changed it. We also discussed some of the parks that we'd like to do some work on. Specifically, we're thinking of putting in some small equipment in Jensen Park. And we had also discussed the lot across the street from this building. But it sounds like we probably need to work with Public Works to decide what the plan will be. So if there's some time we can figure out to decide what the use of that property. John Helgeson's working on getting the solicitations for the Veterans Memorial. And that was our major thing. And this spring we'll hopefully get started on the parkland in the Derrick construction.
Okay.
So that's really about
Okay.
it.
Very good. Let's see. Under new business, I didn't have any comments. Now, I noticed one of our judge candidates was here. You weren't here at the beginning. Did you want to? I know you had probably come here for that purpose, so that's more than fine. We have the election. We've been letting all the judge candidates. Yes, you may.
First of all, excuse me for being late. I was up at the town of Hudson, and their public comment goes about 25 minutes after they start. They approve the bills and a few other things. So thank you for getting me in here, Mr. President and trustees. I'll got to take my notes out here. First point, I went to some meeting and they forgot, they get all done, somebody hollered at the village of Baldwin, "Who are you?" So I should introduce myself. I'm Howard Cameron. I live in the town of Hudson. I've been a member of the county since 1993. My wife's been a teacher in Hudson since 1977. A little background on me real quick. I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I have a degree in agriculture education. I was a high school teacher for 6 years in Spooner, Wisconsin. Did some farming before that in Michigan, did some farming afterwards. And then I decided to follow my dad in his footsteps, and a great uncle and a brother. They all worked sort of independently. And right now, I've been an attorney since 1987. I'm a public defender attorney for the past 17 years. Gives me a wide variety of experience. I had one of the secretaries see what my caseload is now. I have about 150 different cases right now that are pending that I'm working on. Taking sort of a few days off lately, so after the April 1st, everything's going to kind of get up and running pretty quick again. Part of my plan I've been talking about on my website is, I'll say, is electcameronjudge.com. I think I have a vision for the future. After the cases get set out by the judges, the 3 judges here have a plan already approved by the court administrator. The new judge will hit the ground running very hard September 1st all the way up till December 1st. But afterwards, I think the county, along with the judges and other people, should look at what we can do or maybe can't do. But I think the better idea is what we can do. One is restorative justice for juveniles. It's worked very well in Barron County, where the victim gets to tell the juvenile what happens. You know, what you did to my business. And I'll give you an example, without mentioning names. A trucking company had their air hoses slashed on trailers and tractor trailers. And it was the second time something like this had happened, and they put a fence up, cost $10,000. And the owner got up and told my client, you know, this is what you did to my business. I don't have that kind of money in this time, you know, because of fuel prices, whatever. And I told the client that already. So these people are very upset. I think they need to sit down outside a courtroom system and actually hear the victim talk about their concerns. I don't think we do enough of that. Victims don't have to participate, but I think when they do, I think they get a lot out of it. The other one is reduce drunk drivers. We have a drug court, and maybe we can incorporate more drunk drivers, at least fifth and up, I think they're talking about. I'm more concerned second, third, and fourth, because repeating drunk drivers is going to be a problem. I think we've got to continually address that. Someone said a number of years ago 10% of all people in the prison system are drunk drivers now. And a common ingredient of all prisoners in our system is alcohol, drug use, and lack of education for information. Work with the county to collect fines. They got a new system in place. That's a good idea. Community coordinator. Maybe there's somehow we can get someone to coordinate community service. In Barron County did this. Judge Bruner started this in the year 1992 or so. 200 nonprofits take advantage of this community service. Because the first thing that happens when I'm in this county or other county, they say do community service. The client will look at you and say, "Where do I do it?" And a lot of places, some liability questions. But Barron County addressed that issue and managed to take care of it. I think maybe something we can look at here in the future. Maybe it won't work. But I'm always a believer in working hard. I worked hard as a teacher, worked hard as a farmer, worked hard as an attorney for the state, and I work hard as your judge. Because of my diverse experience, I think I have a lot of common sense, commitment, and integrity. I think you can ask any judge or any attorney I've worked with in the past 20 years. My integrity, I think, is stellar. Something my dad taught me about when I was 12 years old. After I was taking money from my mother's purse, wanted to buy something, and he said, "Honesty is the best policy," and I've always stuck with that. So it's a long time ago. I do appreciate would appreciate your vote April 1st. A lot of different items on the election thing too. I believe statewide referendum, new Supreme Court justice, school board. So I would encourage everybody to get out and vote. And Mr. President, thank you for getting on here. And I did enjoy listening to the meeting. It's been a long time since I've been to a board meeting. It's one thing I've learned is this is how our government functions. The Village of Hudson, or be it the town of Warren. So thank you very much, Mr. President and the trustees. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard.
Now I'll stay to the end, okay?
Thank you. All right, Gloria.
Just remind everyone, April 1st, election, please come down and vote.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to, if the board hadn't seen it, the decision came down in the case that was filed relative to the zoning change for the Hanson property. And Judge Vlack upheld the position that we took, that the change from the C2 to C3 was a legislative act. It was not challengeable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay?
Okay. And I have nothing else on the agenda, so the chair would entertain, and I see a motion moving towards the left. I'll take that as a motion. Is there a second?
I would second that.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.
Question for you.